Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this press conference this afternoon. This is a very important day for Bermuda, a very important day for the government. Today, the Immigration Reform Working Group will be handing over their report to the government. Their report will identify the principles by which we will give further consideration to issues of PRC and the discretionary grant of Bermuda status and other related matters. It has been at least an 18-month period. This committee, this working group, chaired by my friend, Mr. William Medeiros, and the other members have put in a truly amazing effort to get us to this point. They've met at least twice weekly for 18 months. Sometimes in the beginning it was even more frequent than that. And so the public should be grateful for the work that they've done. They've engaged in a consultative process to arrive at these principles. And I have not yet seen the report. Today represents the official handover to me. I will receive the report shortly. I will study the principles outlined very carefully, and then the bipartisan immigration working group, immigration committee, will continue to look at the actual legislative framework that needs to be adopted based on these principles. At this point, I'd like to introduce the chairman, Mr. William Medeiros, who will say a few words and then provide me with the official handover of the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you for those kind words. Good afternoon, everyone. And a special thank you to my group members for being here this afternoon. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this report is a culmination of over 18 months of hard work, deliberation, collaboration, soul-searching, and most importantly, open consultation with all the people of Bermuda. Throughout it all, our group was singularly focused on generating a report that would work for the betterment of all Bermudians and all other constituents. That is a tall order. The people of Bermuda can take comfort in knowing that the contents of this report enjoys full consensus support of our group without dissent. Every point, every comma, every period, every capital letter has been the subject of detailed consideration and very robust discussion. The group wishes to thank the government of Bermuda and all of Bermuda for entrusting this momentous task to us. Finally, I wish to acknowledge and publicly thank my fellow group members who have been absolutely steadfast in discharging our duty. Ms. Dennis Fagundo, our Deputy Chairman, Senator Ms. Crystal Caesar, who unfortunately is unable to join us today, Mrs. Malika Cartwright, Ms. Lynn Winfield, Mrs. Belinda Wright, I got it this time, Mr. Stephen Todd, Mr. Gordon Rick Woolridge, and then finally, and very importantly, our long-suffering recording secretary, Mr. Marvin Hanna. Thank you, Mr. Hanna. Minister, it's been a long path.
Yes, sir.
But thank you so very much for giving us this opportunity. Thank you very, very much on
Thank
behalf
you.
of our
Yeah.
group. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your very hard work.
Thank you,
And
sir.
thank all of you for your very hard work over the past 18 months. We're happy to entertain one or two questions that you may have.
Open it and read us the principles.
Sure. You want me to open it and read all the principles? The protocol, Mr. Chairman, is that this will be
The
distributed,
protocol,
yeah.
if I may, the protocol is that, as was the case in our prior submissions, that the reports are generated for the review by the minister, in fact, the premier, but acting and the minister, other interested parties, signatories to the agreement. The media will then receive exactly 24 hours from now. Each and every one of you will receive your own personal copy of the document that the minister has just received.
Further questions? And one from John Bell.
Yep.
Sir, it's early days yet, sir, but any anticipation of when you might be able to act on the recommendations that have come to you?
Well, as everyone will know, I'm impatient for change, and we expect to table some initial legislation as early as February of next year. I see my PS looking down at the floor. So it is perhaps a bit optimistic, but that is certainly our intention. These are important matters, and I know that the committee has worked very hard to come up with this report, and we will not allow the report to lay around without actioning it as soon as we possibly can.
One more question, Aaron.
How many principles are there?
If I may, there's three categories. The three categories that we were tasked with dealing with specifically were mixed status families, the permanent residence certificate, and Bermudian status. And those may have, and those are the three, shall we say, the core, those are the three core topics. And any one of those topics may have one or more principles that will have been driven by the consultative process which came into us.
I have one question. It's a simple one. Mr. Medeiros, in terms of consensus, which aspect of your study would you say was the most difficult for the group?
Anybody want a piece of this?
Everything?
Immigration has got to be, if you think about it as a word, it has got to be one of the singular most challenging topics that any country can be dealing with. You could start with something, if I may, as simple as mixed status families. Well, mixed status families have mummies and daddies and sons and daughters, and they're born all over the place. And I can honestly say, as a member of the group, that all of these topics were robustly discussed. There is no easy one. There are no simple ones in this. And of course, so many of them mesh together, don't they? I mean, when you're having a topic about PRC, well, how do you have a topic if you're not talking about status? And when you start talking about status, how do you talk about the impact that it has on mixed status families? So there's this meshing of ideas and concepts. I wish the minister had given us an easy one, but I don't think there were any in any of it. But I don't know if the group would like to have a piece of that.
Anyone? Malika, you have nothing to say?
It's an emotional subject.
Come to the mic instead.
Good afternoon. No, immigration, as the chairman stated, immigration is a difficult subject, and it's one that is faced by countries around the world talking about immigration. And it's an emotional subject because when you start to look at things on paper, it's easy to make a decision just looking at something on paper. But when you meet people and know that these stories are actual people, we all have a heart and want to be able to do something, but we also want to make sure that there's a balance. And when you're talking about that, that is what it is. You have to balance the scales. And the tipping point is always how do we secure Bermuda's future? And we hope that what we presented is something that will last for Bermuda's future and be fair. That's all we want, is for it to be fair.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you, Minister, Chair, members, media.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.